how come this is something I just noticed. It was just like really weird. How come the only people that I've been seeing that defend Halloween are Christians? What? Why is it just Christians? The people going against it are people who are like ex-Satanists, ex-witches, ex-this and ex-that, who've become Christian, right? Who have had a radical change in their life, all right? And I would argue that you don't have a radical change in your life if you are one of the Christians who are defending Halloween. If you've had a radical change in your life, it's that concept of, go look this up. It's that, I would suggest you go look up Derek Prince's, talks about this, because I watch a lot of Derek Prince. And so, go watch Derek Prince about, people with a form of godliness, but reject the power. It's like this verse, that I think it's in Corinthians, that Paul's talking about these Christians who are lukewarm. And he says that that they're lukewarm because they haven't been radically changed. They haven't had a radical change in their life, and they're just and so he says in this video I watched recently, he says he shudders every time he hears Christians say born again when they haven't had a radical change in their life. And I thought that was like facts, just straight facts, because that's really what it is. That's the difference between a Christian who's radically changed, who's like, this is the answer, and really knows the truth without a doubt. And then there's the Christians who play Christian, and they're just, it's like they're rhinos, you know what I mean? They're like Republicans in name only, you know what I mean? They're like Christians in name only. I don't know if China sounds good, but they're just these. That's the concept here. Is tunnel, but that's the concept I'm talking about here. It's like the only ones I'm seeing going like total ham, social media, and it's like, what? Why is it only Christians? I don't hear anybody, nobody who's like a normie, nobody who's like a Satanist. Nope, everyone. Why would they show up and argue that? What points are they gonna, like? That's what I'm saying. Like they were saying, like they would just say, it's no big. Here's the normie perspective, right? It's no big deal. It's just a holiday. You're too extreme. You're this religious fanatic, and all that. What do you think? Isn't that the difference between a Christian and somebody who walks the godly path? Is somebody who's like looks strange to these people? They think that you're strange. They think that you're tripping. They don't think that what you're saying is. They don't think that what you're. They're like, you're tripping about it, dude. You're making a big deal out of nothing, and blah 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 blah. When they see you talking about Christian stuff and God and stuff, they're just sitting there going, whatever this like. It's the same exact thing. That's what they'd say. I used to be quote unquote a Christian, and hey, just chill, bro. Who cares? And blah 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 blah. But I got radically saved after I was a Christian, meaning I had a radical change in my life, and you know, I know what it's like to be a lukewarm Christian. I just know. I know what it's like. I understand the argument. I understand it, dude. I get it. And I get that. And then it's like, what do you think that the people who are Satanists are gonna? Do you think they're gonna chime in and get part of this conversation? I mean, they might. I see them, like, you know, chime in a little bit, but it's like you don't really know who's who, if you know what I mean, if they're like really a Satanist or a witch or something. Like if they said, "Hi, I'm a witch," and blah 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 blah, but these witches and warlocks and like all these Satanists, they're smart. They're just gonna keep their mouth shut and just, you know, why would they sit there and defend themselves? They just sit there and laugh at these Christians doing the work for them. You know? It's like so silly, dude. They're just sitting back laughing, watching these lukewarm Christians do the devil's work. And it's just so funny to me. I'm just sitting there laughing like, it's always these Christians, or so-called, let's just call them so-called, all right? Because, and I hate to like go against so-called Christians, but I used to be a so-called Christian, and I really wish somebody would have tried to shake me up and tell me, so I'm not holding back. I really wish so-called Christians really get their stuff together, because they're really close, but they just, you know, they're just really close, you know, and if they did really mean well, they would push in, and you know, and they have a foundation, so they will have, they should be able to go, you know. But here's the thing about so-called Christians, if you want me to go on a total rant, this is, I understand, I get it. These people, they just have the head knowledge, and then you do see like all these ex-Christians out there making all these videos like, I used to be a youth pastor, I used to be a pastor, and blah 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 blah, and you know, like they turned away from the faith and blah blah blah, and it's like the common theme here is usually these people, like they just had bad, like I think that's just, they've had a bad doctrine in their churches, and the church itself screws them up. Just being in the church screws them up, because if these churches don't talk about forgiveness, that's why I talk about it all the time as much as I can. But if they don't talk about forgiveness and have it coming from a place of forgiveness, and what the difference is between coming from a place of forgiveness and coming from a place of like unforgiveness, and how it's so beneficial, and how like how you can weigh what you're doing against forgiveness, and having a spirit of charity and forgiveness, and you know, and selflessness. Because forgiveness is like, you know, you're acting very selfless. You're humbling yourself, and basically, you know, you're taking what they owe you, and basically you're saying, I'm going to give it to the Lord instead of making them pay for it. And it's like, and God will honor that. God will honor that. And so it's like these so-called Christians, I think, they just they don't have, I don't think they have forgiveness, and they just never gotten that path. And so when people hurt them, and or if God says no to them when they are praying and asking for something, and God says no, they don't have a spirit of forgiveness, and so they can't say, you know what, okay, I forgive you, or and let your will be done, Lord, not mine. You know what I mean? And say, and humble themselves. They're just not humble. That's what made Satan fall, and from a place of being a righteous person, let's just say, being in the church, let's just say. So it's like the ultimate sin. And so that's why the ultimate antithesis to that sin is forgiveness. That's why Jesus is, grace, mercy, and forgiveness. And that's why it's so beautiful. That's so beautiful, because we all know that we deserve so much more punishment than and we get forgiven, because only we really know how bad we really are, and it's like, my buddy said this to me in the I went to his church, and he said that I have a problem with going to a church and then staying there, because I don't want to open up and talk about myself, because I'm afraid of how these church people are going to judge me. And it's like, and I told him, I said, yeah, if they only knew how bad of a sinner I am. And it's like, these churches, they don't accept sinners in their church, so they don't accept themselves as sinners either. And so if you can't humble yourself to say, like, I am a sinner and I need grace just like everybody else, then you are going to ostracize people, and you're going to judge them, and say, I'm better than this person. I can't believe this person's blah, blah, blah. And so that's why I talk about that kind of thing too, because I'm talking about all the things that screwed me up as a lukewarm Christian. That I'm talking about all the things that I wish I knew as a as a Christian, but I was lukewarm, sitting in church, but I was getting church hurt. So that's why I talk about all the things that I talk about, because I really deeply wanted to be part of the church and be part of God's mission, but I got hurt tons. And then when I was out on my own, I didn't have anything to keep me from sliding into all these bad things, because I really didn't have a foundation. So that's why I just try to talk about this stuff, because this stuff is so foundational, bro. Or sis. And so he, and I just thought that was so interesting, because he's just like, because I was like, if they only knew what bad of a sinner I am. And it's just like, I was thinking about that, about if, because we know exactly what kind of mess we're in. We know exactly how bad, we know exactly how, what kind of a sinner we are. And that's also one of the reasons why it's really tough to forgive yourself, because you know that you are a mess, and how big of a mess. So, and it's like, if anybody knew how big of a mess I really was in, and they saw me forgiving myself, they would judge me worse. You see how that works? You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want to forgive myself because if I do, people are gonna find out that I don't care. And that's not the truth. You know, when people hurt us and we're supposed to forgive, it's not that we don't care. And it's not that we don't have to deal with the consequences, whatever they may be, because we might have to be serving a sentence or something, because things could be, you could have done something horrible to somebody, or you could have just done something to somebody, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there still is consequences, and so we might have to be dealing with those things, but giving ourselves the grace that we need through Christ is how we deal with that, because we know that we don't deserve it, so we should, you know, should hold ourselves accountable. That is true, but we need to hold ourselves accountable to Christ, you know, and how He looks at us, and how He, you know, and that's the righteous part. That's how we're made righteous, is we're made righteous in His eyes. But we can't forget that we are all sinners, because those two things still have to exist at the same time. To God, we can communicate with Him, we can enter the Holy of Holies and have His Holy Spirit and help guide us while we're yet sinners. Does that make sense? Trying to do the righteous thing, you know, because if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to, you know, communicate with Him. Because if every time we sinned and it was, you know, and then we lost our communication with Him, you know, it would be, you know, it's like every day we always slip up, you know. We agree with thoughts in our head all the time. The devil's always working, bro. He'll come to you in your sleep. He'll come to you in dreams, and he'll come to you in conversation. You'll blurt something out. You'll go, what just came out of me? I'm talking crazy. Watching yourself say something stupid. You're going, what am I talking about? You gotta go, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. So, side note, I've been drinking a lot of tea lately, just because it's fun. And but I'm not doing caffeine, but I'm doing tea. So it's like mint tea. It's like so weird how like nowadays like all there is uppers or downers. It's like, just give me a tea that's like, you know, kind of tasty. You know, that doesn't have that doesn't have like caffeine in it, or put me absolutely to sleep. You know what I mean? But anyway, I just thought that these lukewarm Christians, they need help. They need extra help, because these folks are leaving the church. They've already been in the church. They've already been part of the church, helping everybody, trying to help, and blah, blah, blah. And then they just get church hurt, and then they bail. It's like, and I just don't want to see that when I see folks that I help, and I say, go get a church, and I say, go read the Bible, and go do this. I would just hate to see people that I'm helping out of their mess show up to a church that really beats them down. And because they are already beaten down. So, and I get it. I understand Christians that want to talk about holiness and righteousness and being set apart and not being in agreement with the devil, and I agree with all that. But we need to encourage our brothers and sisters. We just need to encourage our brothers and sisters. I have nothing against talking about righteousness and what we need to do to be righteous and stuff like that, because that's what we need to do. We need to repent, be right, and try our best to be righteous. Because and also, here's the thing: if you are like really a life-changed born again, if you're a real born again, you are dying to get back in the mercy of God. If you screw up, you are dying to get back. And it's not, that's what it feels like. You're just sitting there like, I can't wait to get back. This is a mess that I'm in. And I can't wait to get through whatever I'm going through, the lessons I need to learn, because I need to get back. And that's that, like, that's what it feels like for those people. They cannot wait to get back. But you can't explain that sometimes to people who are just like don't see it, and they just go, these are just rules that I have to follow. They don't see the benefit of all the rules. They just think it, that's what I'm seeing. They just go, oh, relax, they're just not convicted of all this stuff, so they just go, chill out, blah blah blah. And so it's like, if they're not convicted of all that stuff, that's what I'm like wondering if they have a form of godliness but do not have the fear of God. And so that's what I'm wondering, if you fear God or not. And you're like, basically what my fear of God is like, it's like, I can't wait to get back. That's what fear of God is for me. I'm sitting there like, if you've had an encounter with God, and you know what the feeling is and what your heart feels like, and what you know it to have peace, and for like just a second, then you're sitting there going, I need to get there again. I can't. This ain't it. You finally see what the answer is, so you finally need to go, And so I would just say, like, if you're just struggling to get to that place, find out what you're doing wrong. Like, you're not going to pass the test until you get the right answer. Does that make sense? Like, God is teaching you something, and whatever that thing is that you need to learn, He's not gonna give you a different test until you fix that. You finish that work that He's doing. So He will come, like every good work He does in you, He will do it to completion. Meaning you have to get it done. You've got to get that thing. Whatever it is that's holding you back, you need to keep pressing on and trying to figure out, and it's like, just do some research. Start reading the Bible and do some research, like, on these different concepts. Maybe read a book or something, like talk to people, like say, like, this is what's my problem. Like a lot of these people might have like had a shot if they, like, I don't know, like maybe communicated with some people and said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and then and for a lot of it boils down, to a perspective, and that's what I've learned a lot lately, is there's a truth and there's a fact. Say there's a fact, and then you have two different perspectives about it. I talk about this in my other video. Like you have, like, you can come home, you get in your car and it's not driving well, and your tires are bald, and and you get home and it's a mess, and your girlfriend, or I mean, not your girlfriend, you should be living with a girlfriend, but your wife is there, and and the kids are acting like crazy and blah blah blah. You could say, I'm thankful for my car. I'm thankful that I got here somehow on bald tires, and I have a house to come home to, and a wife and kids, my crazy kids. I'm thankful for them. Or you could say, curse all those things. So it's either you could say, I bless those things, or I curse those things. See, it's a matter of perspective. And the choice we make is to say, am I going to be thankful for the things that I have, or am I going to curse the things that I have? And so a lot of the time these people have doubt, and they're struggling with if God is even real. And a lot of them probably had things that they were praying about, and God just isn't a magic genie, and you don't get 3 wishes and then you see what I'm saying? That's just not how it works. He's teaching you things that create this perspective of thankfulness. He's teaching you how to be thankful for what you do have, not to. And people, if they don't have what they want God to give them, they get angry at God and say, you should have given me this. And it's like, all comes back to, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it. See, thy will be done. It all comes back to his will, not ours. And he's like teaching us how to be thankful when there's it seems like there's nothing to be thankful for. And and that's a good thing. That's good. It's also good to address the problems and to fix the problems. I'm not saying that there's things that there isn't solutions to, and things that we don't need to work on to be able to, live in harmony with others, or something like that. But we have to trust that God has our best interests in mind. So if we have, if we trust him, then we know that the job thing is going to work out, the money is going to come in when and it's like you can't please God without faith. So if you don't have any faith, you can't please him, and then he doesn't, then you're acting, in this way that does not please God. So if you're not pleasing God with what you're doing, and you don't have faith, see how these concepts all kind of interlock? They're all kind of interlocked together. It's like you can't it's all these pieces, it's all these it's all these it's the armor of God. It's all these things are the armor of God. You have to put on the armor of God. Like, how do you do that? Like, and it's like righteousness, peace, salvation, all these things, and truth, and what all these things are, all these concepts work together. So when we struggle with that as lukewarm Christians, you got to ask yourself, what exactly am I? What, like, and you should have somebody, that you could talk to, that you can respect, that they can be blunt with you, and maybe somebody objective, somebody you don't know, and you just talk to them about what you're going through, and then they go, oh yeah, it sounds like you've got a problem with faith, and explaining what that problem could be. It's like we really need some and that's what discipleship is, and counseling is. Discipleship is like counseling. It's like training you how to keep going, and it's like I think a lot of it is like we need to do a lot of it on our own, and if we were really trying to do it on our own and praying about it and stuff like that, we would have these breakthroughs. But I think a lot of the time, like, people just like expect somebody to have done the hard work for us, and so we go on, and find the concept, we read it, and then it doesn't really like unlock something in our heart, So we need to like sometimes just listen to the Holy Spirit when He's talking to us, and that way we can get that breakthrough. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't sometimes scream at the top of your lungs, because I'm telling you what, 99% of my breakthroughs are when I am done, dude. I'm done. I am done. I've got tortured enough, and I am done with it. And I really get mad, and I go, you know what? That is it. I'm not doing this anymore. And I tell God how I feel. But you know what? That's fine, as long as you stick around for a second and listen to what he's trying to tell you. He can take it. He can take it. He can take you going, Lord, what in the F? He can do it. So, but if you're not screaming, what in the world, how do I get through this? Lord, tell me, show me, blah, blah, blah. And then you just kind of go, on with your regular business, not knowing that there's something that, not going towards your blessing, just saying screw it, and you quit. And then you go cope with something. You go start, coping again with whatever your coping mechanisms are. Instead of like going towards Jesus, you go towards your coping mechanisms. And I'll bet you money, I'll bet you whatever you want, that these lukewarm Christians, they, as soon as things, God was trying to show them something, trying to teach them a lesson, then and they couldn't figure it out, they started coping, and then they done. They say, you know what, I am out. I tried, and I'm done. Another thing is like Christians who expect God to draw near to them. That's not how God works. You draw near to him and he draws near to you. You draw near to him. Okay? He ain't going anywhere. He's sitting on his throne. You need to go to the throne. Where do kings hang out? In the castle, right? So you need to take a trip. You need to go to the castle. Alright? You need to go to the throne. How do we do that? I mean, we got it so good. All we have to do is say, Lord Jesus, help me. That's how we just call on his name. And he's there. And you're there. You're in the throne room. See what I mean? But also, he's everywhere. I'm not trying to get into semantics, but you see what I'm saying? He's we need to draw near to him. If we draw near to him, he draws near to us. And that's what he tells us. So basically, yeah. If you got like lukewarm Christians that are trying to do it, trying to get this thing done, that might be your problem too. You're not drawing near to him, and if we're not drawing near to him, he's not drawing near to us. We're sitting there expecting him to come change us as we sit there, doing whatever we want to do. So, my radical change was I was seeking him. I said, you know what? I don't think I actually genuinely was seeking the Lord, and I knew it, and I was honest with myself. And so I'm sitting there going, I'm gonna keep pursuing him. I'm gonna keep going. Because I tried it my way and it didn't work. So I'm gonna just do what he wants me to do. What is it that he wants me to do about this or that? And I just started going for it. As hard as it was, as much as I struggled, as much as I screwed it up the whole time, it didn't matter. I was still pursuing him, right? So it's like that concept that I talk about. I don't know if it's in one of my videos. It's when we take out the trash. Like God tells us to take out the trash, and okay, we'll take out the trash, and then we spill it all the way to the curb. He'll be like, okay, I'll help you pick it up. Because you spilled it on the way to the curb. He's merciful, right? We're trying to do what he's telling us to do, but we're making a mess out of it. Okay, great, right? But there's also but if he told me to take out the trash, and I stick it behind the door and hide it, and or stick it behind something, the gate, and I don't take it to the curb. Time goes on, and that thing festers, and then say like a raccoon gets in it or a bear gets into it. Now that we got a big old mess, right? And then he's find out, oh, you just hid it in the back here. You didn't do what I told you to do. You tried to hide it. You didn't try to do what I was telling you. And then it's like, who's going to get the mercy? The person who was trying to do what he was supposed to do, or the person who said, nah, I ain't going to do it. I'm just going to hide it. I'm just going to throw this in the behind door and go about my business. So one is pursuing God, his will, and the other is just doing what I want to do. Does that make any sense? So we get mercy and grace if we're doing what he's telling us to do. And you ain't gonna get no mercy, no grace if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. So, yeah. So it takes some people are radically changed, and it's overnight. Some people, and here's the thing: might be teaching you patience for the first step. And I'm sorry, but that's really tough. Being thankful, being grateful, forgiving, being patient, kind, goodness, self-control. All these things are the fruits of the Spirit, right? And he could be teaching you any one of those things on your first step, what he wants from you. And it's up to him to tell you what he wants from you. It's not up to you. You get, if it's like, you know, you have self-control and that's not what he's trying to get from you, and you're like, look at this. I have perfect self-control. It's like the Pharisees. They're like, I have perfect self-control. I have, I fast and I give my alms to the poor. And he's like, well, you're not forgiving and you're not this and that. Those aren't the concepts that I wanted you to know. You're not listening to me. You're not doing what I'm telling you to do. You're doing what you want to do, what you think I want you to do. But it's not what I told you to do. And so some of these lukewarms are trying to go, okay, I know how this works. I got this. And then they start doing what they think that they should be doing instead of what God's telling them to do. And saying, oh, look, I'm righteous. Aren't I good? And God goes, I didn't tell you to do none of that. You just wasted all your time and energy. Worse than that, you miss opportunities I was setting up for you. Worse than that, I was going to use you as somewhere else, and you where were you at? I had other people that I needed you to talk to about this and that, and you didn't show up because you're doing what you want to do. You're on a different path, and that really upsets me. Right? Imagine, bro. It's a daily thing. He's trying to get you to do stuff. He's trying to get you to do his will and talk to people and make these connections and blah, 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 blah. And if you don't listen, guess what? I mean, dude, I don't want to make these videos. It made me seem like, oh, look, Jim, he's like some narcissist. He wants everyone's attention. I don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, attention's nice. People liking you is great. But I've got, there's a part of me that thinks that I have so much shame if these people that knew like what I've gone through, same thing I was saying, if these Christians even knew what kind of sinner I was. And I'm just saying, no, I'm just going to be bold anyways. The Lord's going to use me, regardless. I'm a sinner. I'll tell you right now. So, yeah, I mean, these lukewarms out here, dude. These L-dubs. There's Luke Warriors. That was a little mean. But yeah, anyways, and hey, I hate to say this, but there's gonna be probably a lot of them out there. I hate to say that too, I really do. And so if you're if you're on a certain path and God's talking to you and you've gotten radically changed and all this other stuff, and then you show up, there's a bunch of lukewarm Christians, just hang out by yourself and with the Lord. No worries, bro. Just do you. There's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people go, we can't, these Christians out here ain't go to church and all this other stuff. Don't worry about it. God will give you a church. God will give you relationships. God's going to help you out. Okay? Don't worry about it. And, if you're convicted, you want to go to church and all this other stuff, it's on you. That's fine. Do that. I would do that. But, you know what I mean? But, just do what the Lord's telling you to do. Stop listening to all these folks out here and then also some of these people are like, some of these pastors, like the least lukewarm, like the most extreme, and like, there's righteousness, blah, blah, and calling all these people out and all this other stuff, and it's like to the point where they're not actually helping. Like, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain these concepts to people so that they can be back in the will of God and get back to their relationship. Basically like a marriage counselor trying to get you back into a relationship with a good father. And, and some of these people out here are saying it's all your fault and you need to burn in hell and all this stuff, and saying God is good and you're a piece of junk and you don't deserve it. So and that's it. You don't deserve it. Like you don't deserve that relationship with Him. And but hey, if you're pursuing God, if you are truly pursuing God, let's go. Okay, let's go. Because these people don't know your heart, and God knows your heart. So just keep it up and keep leaning in, and you should be fine. You should be fine. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay. It gets rough, it gets hard, but God is good all the time. All right, so keep it up. Love you guys, and okay, yeah, love y'all.